Hi, this is a short video about the parish church of St John the Divine in Lytham, Lancashire, focusing mainly on the bell ringing aspects of the church. Here we are at the front of the church of St John the Divine, Lytham, an Anglican parish church known more colloquially as just St John's. It's the most easterly church in Lytham and it's located in a prime position on Lytham Front opposite the famous windmill. St John's is recognised as the lifeboat church, and the old lifeboat house is situated across the road from the church near the windmill. The front of the church faces south, giving it an excellent view of Lytham Green, the Ribble Estuary and of course the windmill. Building of this church began in 1848 and was completed the following year at a cost of around £4,000. However, the church wasn't officially consecrated until November 1850. The oak timber-framed lychgate wasn't built at the same time as the church. It was added much later in 1897 as a memorial to the Reverend Thomas Gregory Smart, vicar from 1870 to 1896. At the top of the steeple, just before the bell tower becomes the spire, you can see the louvered windows of the bell chamber. There are two on each side of the tower. They're designed to let the sound out and prevent the weather getting in. Unfortunately, the weather protection is not 100% effective and rain often gets blown in. For the first 26 years of its existence, St John's had only one bell, and this was sold off in 1875 for the princely sum of £22, 7 shillings and sixpence. At the very top of the 140-foot steeple, you can see quite a nice weather vane, which had to be replaced a few years ago, having been blown off by the high winds. As we go in through the front door of the church, we'll enter the porch, where we can see the main doors through into the church and a smaller door which leads to the ringing room via this stone spiral staircase. At the top of the staircase, we find another door which opens to reveal the actual ringing room. Being in a steeple rather than a tower, the ringing room is compact and bijou, in other words, small. Here we can see the 6 bell ropes hung on an item known as the spider. The spider is a device for lifting ropes safely out of the ringing room. The spider at St John's is a model of the Lytham windmill created by Paul Hart, a ringer at this church. The ropes go clockwise from the treble over here, round to 2, 3, 4, 5, and lastly 6, the tenor. In 1875, after the original single bell was sold off, a ring of 6 bells was cast and then installed in a 2-tiered oak frame, with bells 3 and 5 being hung in the upper tier of the frame. The work was done by Whitechapel Foundry at a cost of £518, 3 shillings and sixpence. The tenor is a 10 hundredweight bell, denoted as 10-0-21 in G, which means 10 hundredweight, no quarters, and £21. In metric, that's about 518 kilograms, tuned in the key of G. In 1992, the bells underwent refurbishment. The work was done by the bell hangers Ayr & Smith Limited, assisted by Sid Lloyd and some apprentices and staff from B&FL at Solwick. The cost was around £15,000. The first peal of bells ever to be rung in Lytham in 8 different methods was rung in February 1911 at St John's, and this peal board records that and other similar peels carried out up to 1913. Some of the people who rang in those peels are featured in this photo from January 1897. During the 1960s and 70s, the bells could only be chimed, but full circle ringing did recommence again in 1984, though the bells were far from easy to ring. When the bells were rehung in 1992, new ball bearings were fitted, which made the bells easier to ring. Rededication took place in December 1992 by the Reverend John Carlyle, who helped to train a most enthusiastic band of ringers. Sid Lloyd, who was steeplekeeper at that time, continued to lead and train the ringers from then on. The church soon had a strong band of Sunday service ringers, along with several keen learners. Here's a photo of some of the ringers from 1992. Access to the bell chamber is up this very old wooden ladder, fixed to the wall. At the top, you climb through a small trapdoor cut out of the wooden ceiling. Opening the trapdoor in the ceiling at the top of the ladder allows you to access another trapdoor, which is a sliding door through which you enter into the bell chamber. As you enter through the sliding trapdoor into the bell chamber, you begin to see the frame and all the bells. This bell here, immediately above the trapdoor, is the tenor. Once inside the bell chamber, you can see just how restricted the space is. If we look at the four bells in the lower tier, this is the treble, the 2, and the 4 over in the corner. As I showed earlier, this is the tenor. Number 5 sits immediately above the tenor in the top frame, and bell 3 sits beside number 5. Looking at this tight space, you can understand why the bells had to be hung in 2 frames, one above the other. Looking up into the steeple, you can see a ladder to another trapdoor which is used for spire maintenance. Climbing above the frame and looking down, you can clearly see the 3rd and 5th bells on the top frame. This is the original oak frame, and it is desperately in need of replacement. It hasn't yet got to the point of being dangerous, but the bells are probably the most difficult of all the bells in the file to ring. Scanning around the frame, you can clearly see the additional steelwork which has been put in place over the years to try and help stabilise the old oak frame. All the steelwork was painted with hammerite paint to help slow down corrosion. From the top of the ladder, you get quite a different view of the ringing room. You can see the rope guides on the frame just below the ceiling, and there below is the full view of the ringing room. Here's a short example of Sunday service ringing from St John's. Sid Lloyd is still leading the St John's Ringers as tower captain. The other current St John's band members are Ali Sawyer, Paul Hart, Neil McGarry and Mick Phillips. Seen here along with Richard Jones from the St Joseph's Band and Jake Thackeray from St Peter's Band. Many of the local ringers frequently give their support at all 4 of the ringable churches in Lytham and Ansdell. There are also several keen learners. This year, 2025, is the 150th anniversary of the installation of the original 6-bell ring at St John's in Lytham. Six. Next time. I hope you've enjoyed that brief overview of the bells at St John's in Lytham and maybe learned something too. If you are interested in learning to ring church bells and you live in the Fylde area, please don't hesitate to contact me and I'll put you in touch with your nearest tower. Thanks for watching.